All right, let's finish these up. We got to match the system of inequalities to the overlap. Now, I told you were going to have overlap on your test, and here it is. You're going to have a problem similar to this. All right, so we're going to solve this thing for y. If it's positive 4x on the left, it's negative 4x on the right. And then I'll divide by 7. Dividing by 7 does not switch my inequality. That's 300. I need that. Okay. And the other one, now remember, there are 1's in front of that, and I have one of the x's. If it's positive 1 on the left, it's going to be a negative 1 on the right. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let's look at the one that has a slope, or excuse me, a y-intercept of 50. That would be, let's see, that's going to be this guy right here. Okay. Now, this greater than symbol tells me that I'm shading above the line. And I want to ask you a question. If I start shooting arrows up here, do I have shading everywhere that I'm putting my pink marker? No. Look at this little slither right here. There's no shading right here. So there's no way A can be the right answer because I would need shading above this line. Let's look at the next one. Same thing. Here's my same line with a y-intercept of 50. And the question is, do I have shading above that particular line? And the answer is yes. Everything that I have over here is shading. Okay, I'll check the overlap with the other one, but right now everything above it is shaded. And as we take a look at this right here, this one right here, this answer choice kind of gives it away, because if you notice, if I do the same thing, the same test on this one as I did on the other ones that had the y-intercept of 50, there's no shading up here. The answer is going to be B. Now let's just verify with the other inequality. The other inequality said that I had this and it was shading below. It was less than. So the other line that I'm going to highlight here in yellow said that I was shading below. If I shade below, do I have overlap? Yes, I do. I have overlap right here. See my yellow and pink. And that verifies that B is the answer. So just make sure the position of your lines are correct. Look at your inequality symbols. Go ahead and maybe shoot some arrows with your pencil one way or the other and verify that the overlap is in the proper place. Double overlap on those things. Okay? Alright, so that kind of ruined that. So let me see if I have another copy somewhere of the problems. Number 8, there we go. Solve the following systems. You got to know how to solve for y. So I'm going to, if it's minus 2x on the left, it's going to be a positive 2x on the right. The first one is already solved for y, and what do you notice? I have the same slope, I have the different y-intercepts. What does that tell you? These lines are parallel. And if they're parallel, do they have any solutions? No, they do not. Plug it in your calculator and see, and they will be where they need to be. Okay, number 9. As we take a look at this problem right here, we got to solve for y once again. All right. So as I take a look at this right here, I have 1x. It's a positive 1x on the left. If I solve for y, it's going to be a negative 1x on the right. That one was pretty easy. As we take a look at this, we can multiply these numbers out. I don't know why they did. So we can have 0.14x plus 0.24y. And if we multiply that out, I think it's going to be 5.76. You can verify that with me. Okay. So now if I solve this thing for y, I'm going to need to get rid of the x. So the 0.24y, if that's a positive 0.14x on the left, it's going to be a negative 0.14x on the right. Just got to be careful with the decimals. Don't let them freak you out. And what are we going to divide everything by? What decimal? we're going to divide by 0.24. And don't worry, your calculator will do decimals. If you want fractions, we can do math, enter, enter. That's what I did, because it actually turns out to be quite neat. So, this equation that looked very yucky right there is actually this guy right here. Not too bad. And this guy right here turned out to be this. So, why don't we take the two equations and go to our y equal button, and why don't we just plug these in and see what happens. Alright, because we're going to make a table. We're going to make a table. So, as I take a look at that, this is going to be what? Clear that out. This is going to be a negative 1x plus 36. And this is going to be a negative 7/12 x plus 24. Now, we're going to go to our table. Okay? But we got to be able to get our answers from this. This looks like a whole bunch of gobbledygook. If we read the problem originally, if you notice right here, it says x represents the amount of 14% solution. All right, so all of these guys right here are 14% solution. So all of these are my x's. And over here, these guys right here are the 24%, which they tell me is my y's. So I need to go looking and see, all right, where can I find this in my table? Now you notice these go by 0.8, go by tenths. So what I would do is say, all right, I'm going to go to my table and I'm going to do a second table set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go by, that's not showing up very well, why not? Anyway, I'm going to start with 27, okay? Because that's where my first answer is. And I'm going to go by tenths, so I'm going to do 0.1. As I start looking for this, if I go to 27.6, all right, do I have the same output here? I do not. So it is not A. But I'm close to 28.8. So while I'm in the area, why don't I check that out? 28.8. Hey, Shazam, I got is that other part 7. It is 7.2. The answer is going to be D. You could also graph this and do your trace feature as well, whatever you want to do. This is how I would do it. The last problem, boy, it took forever to get here. You notice that the dotted part has nothing to do with the answers because all of these are dotted. There's no equal to aspect. Basically, you got to pick the right slope and the right y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept is what? -4. That's a positive. Sorry, D, you're out. A has a positive y-intercept. It's out. So just by knowing the y-intercept, I have the correct one right here. So now, check out the slope because they're both greater than. Does this have a slope of 1 or does it have a slope of 3? Up 1, 2, 3. To the right 1. This has a slope of 3. The answer is B. Study. You'll do well.